Okay. All right. All right, let's hit it.
What's up, my people? This is your boy Antonio Ocasio.
What up? What up? Doug Gomez here. How's everybody doing? This week we have someone special. Someone we not only do we respect her because she's a lady in a predominantly male business, but we respect her hustle as a DJ. We respect her hustle as a producer, and we respect her hustle as a label owner. We have none other than MIKKI AFFLICK in the house. Let's make some noise.
Hey, guys.
MIKKI, welcome.
Thank you.
Definitely. We have mad respect for you. And above all, I'm going to tell you, for me, I respect you as a person. And that means more to me than even the music. You know, but let's just start off. This is RAICES. Welcome everybody to RAICES Roots. Let's just start right there, MIKKI. Roots, RAICES. What are your roots? Musically, culturally, does that influence your music, your sound, where you come from, where your parents come from?
I was born in Panama.
It's all yours.
I was born in Panama, and so I come from a musical family, and so my Afflicted Soul mix is basically that. It's just that it touches the female essence of my childhood. The music that I love to listen to, you know, as a child with my grandmothers, and always music in the house. My grandfather, he was such a dancer that when him and my grandmother danced, people would make the dancers circle. I mean, he was, you know, just, I think that's where I get a lot of my humor and my no nonsense, both from him. So that is really my influence, you know. But I came to New York at the age of 5. So, you know, growing up in New York in the 70s, that is also,
That's an experience.
that in itself, you know, going to school. And I once told a story about the first summer in New York. You know, I'm a little kid, 5 years old, but you know, I was short, so I don't know. Maybe I even look like a 3 or 4-year-old. I think I look like a 3-year-old. But anyhow, I'm outside and I'm playing. And if anyone that grew up in New York knows, in the summer, that street light, you didn't need a clock. That street light was time to go upstairs, right? So,
Right.
you know, I'm about 6 years at this point because it's actually the first year of coming, you know, coming to America. So I'm outside, and I thought I bonded with the kids, and we're playing, and I missed the cue for the, you know, to come upstairs, and my mother looked out the window and in Spanish, you know, told me to come upstairs. Man, I got my ass whooped. Kids, they were like, "What? Oh, she's a mira, you know."
What part of New York did you land? What part of New York
Brooklyn.
is this? Brooklyn.
Yeah. And so there went my Spanish. I was like, I'm not getting beat up anymore. So literally, I mean, I got beat up. Not just hit, like literally, like in the gutter beat up.
Wow.
And so after that, it was like, number one, I'm not getting beat up anymore. And number two, I ain't speaking Spanish in public anymore.
You know, Spanish parents are strict. They're strict.
And my dad was extra strict, you know, like really, really strict. Like he was like, still to this day, he doesn't play, you know.
Right.
So it was always having music in the house. Now, you know, we're in New York, and my dad had, you know, after hours. My dad's, even now, he's going to be 80, but he's a cool dude, you know, cool cat. And, you know, he had after hours spot. They used to do boat rides to some what's that? Bear Mountain.
Bear Mountain, yeah, I don't know, that's fun up there.
Yeah, man. And
How
I
about
was
the Seven Lakes?
fascinated, and then
Right.
started, my selections with what he would play and the radio back then. That was everything.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
that's a huge influence.
So that's how I got my first start, even on the turntables, was at that young age from his spot. You know.
Wow. So, so how old were you again when you started DJing again? Oh,
I was like the first time I DJ'd, I was like 9 years old.
wow, that's pretty.
Yeah, yeah, and that was Antonio know about this. That wasn't two turntables. That was being a selector.
Mm,
Put on the record, 45, it stops on the album. You find the next one and you play it.
and
Now,
what kind of music are we talking? What type of music are
we're
we?
talking everything. We're talking the main ingredients.
All right,
We're talking the stylistics. We're talking James Brown,
all right,
right? So this is early at 9. It's more. We're not talking disco from my era. We're
okay,
talking more R&B, soul. We're
right.
talking
Like
like
the early 70s.
yeah, Doug. We didn't have to say that, but
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't know that disco wasn't really a thing in the early
disco didn't
70s.
come until 74, 75.
Right,
This is like literally pre-disco.
right,
We're talking about, honestly, we're talking about 72,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. James Brown. You had to stay up on James Brown, Wilson,
right,
Joe Tank, Push and Pull. I'm going back to like pre-arcade
right,
music, but this was the foundation of music,
right. It was,
And,
yeah.
you put on a Joe Tech, Push and Pull and some James Brown, everybody's dancing, and so that's the early start. Then now we start going into disco now.
Right.
I also was in the rock, so I have my rock days, and
I
on
think everybody had those.
yeah, not everybody, but Casey Kasem on Sunday morning,
Yeah,
Top 100, AM radio, some of those tunes, and so now we're in the disco, and I'm in high school. I kind of skipped something, but at some point now I'm in high school. And now, my dad's got the two turntables at home. I kind of skipped some years, but I could not, literally, I didn't want to do sports. My friend was like, come on, be a booster. I wasn't into the cheerleader thing. Just come on, be a booster. And so after school, I'm like, get me out of here. This is like not for me. I just want to get home and play my Donna Summer album. You know, I couldn't take it. I don't like sports, and so that's what I did. I literally would run home and like every single day play my dad's belt drive technique with the Gemini mixer.
Hmm.
That was it.
Now,
You
did you have any experience hearing other DJs? Like, did you ever say, I want to play like that? Did you emulate anybody? Did you hear
Not
anybody?
until, like in the parks, there
Okay.
were cats in the park that like these guys do now. You got the juice from the light, the light post.
Right.
They were jamming in the parks, But that part really wasn't until I would say like 77, 78. That kind of, partying in the park kind of thing.
Mm.
But
That was a big thing in the Bronx, Mickey. That was a big thing in the Bronx.
yeah, right.
Block parties and parties in the parks, and you didn't need a permit or none of that.
Nah, and this went on literally
Yep.
to 2, 3 in the morning.
Yep.
Every
Wow.
But then we go into like now, okay, we're talking now later 70s. I'm in high school, and we're getting this. getting this buzz about the garage. You know, my dad is like strict. So come hell or high water, I'm going to this place. You know, I can't. And just New York City. That was the lifestyle early on the
Right.
radio, in the cars, every car that drove by. That's what you heard. That was
Yeah.
stream radio. You know. Um,
Right.
and
So how was that experience when you first went to the garage?
oh my lord, the first
Was it
experience.
was it Larry Levan, or did you go on
Yes,
another night? Yeah.
yeah. The first experience was on a Saturday night with Larry Levan, and it was life changing. At that point in my life, that's when I said, "Wow, I'm not a freak."
And you were still in high school.
I had just graduated high school.
Okay.
My dad was like not allowing me to go out,
Yeah.
like not like that.
No, I
Like
didn't tell
going
you.
out, my curfew, like he would come get me, at like midnight, max 2 in the morning. That's when you were going to the party, you know.
Right.
So now that I'm finally, graduated high school and I think I'm grown, I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna take these ass whippings. I'm hanging out with my friends, you know. And this went on for maybe about 6 months. I would literally leave the house at 8 p.m. to go to my friend's house. And then we would get there at like 2 in the morning. We get the whole mood of the whole mood. Like people got there 6 a.m. But to really just get the whole mood of the night, we would get there 2. And so like I would be looking at my watch, like, I'm gonna get killed, man. Like I need to be getting home, you know? And every Saturday going into Sunday morning, my dad would be making breakfast. Like, you are like really pushing it. So one time I pushed it, I didn't come home until like 9 o'clock. So that was like a big deal. And he was getting ready to call the cops because I had never been out like past 8, 7, 8 in the morning. He's like, I don't know where you think you going. I'm like, Dad, I'm partying. I'm not doing anything. I'm just having good old. He just did not understand it. I would leave with one outfit and come home sometimes with another, or change before I came home, and like my mom would, good old Panamanian mom would do the laundry and she'd be finding G-strings and, she was like, I don't know what man you think that you're gonna be late until 2 and coming home until 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning. I'm like, I'm out dancing,
And that was the thing in the 70s. That was the thing, man. There was so many clubs
everywhere, like
everywhere.
They even had
all
jumping.
And they were all jumping.
But prior to the garage, this was like really big. I used to go to Empire Skating Ring as a kid on Saturdays. So that early music was very influential in my sound, hearing Hijack, Herbie Mann, that kind of stuff, roller skating too. It was just all the foundation of leading up, the evolution of now where we are,
Right. So when did you say I want to take this DJing to the next level? Like, I want to do this.
Well, okay. So the fact that my dad had these turntables and every kid growing up was a bedroom DJ that I knew.
Right.
All my girlfriend's brothers, had equipment in their house, and after class, like they were all girlies, and I always just wanted to be with the guys, and they would do everything to try to just get me girly. Come on, let me do your hair, let me arch your eyebrows. I'm like, oh, leave me alone. Let me just go in this room and cut the dudes, right? So I'm in my friend Yvette's house, and I'll never forget this. Her brother was in there playing, and Love Is the Message. I'm like, I got to get a piece of this. And man, that track alone, I think it's like 11 minutes long, 12
Yeah.
minutes long. And so you play it and you wait for that break. And finally, when that break came, I jumped on, bring it back. And it was like, yo, Mitch, all right, And at that point, I was like, that's it. That's it. But I would be home doing edits for my cassette deck, rewind it, cut it, piece it, and then
All right.
a dual cassette, man. I was like in heaven. I was doing edits like 11, 12 years old with that, not even realizing truly that it was edits. So it's always been in me.
Wow. So what was your first gig? Yeah, not, it doesn't have to be a paying gig, but when was the first time you actually went out, to either on your own equipment or you played at a place?
Well, the first gig was my dad's gig, and that was early. The second gig, I'm trying to think. The second gig that I had was a birthday party. But like my dad was real strict, so I wasn't like out like say DJing and doing all that kind of thing. But my first real paying gig with some real bread, and I'm gonna tell you, after that gig, I didn't want to be a DJ anymore, was in 1984 for GLAD. It was a young gay. It stood for.
Yeah, I remember what. I can't remember what it stands for, but
well, I played for them, and let me tell you something. Nonprofit. It was a nice juicy check. Let me tell you.
Nice.
But these kids.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, but these kids, they were more on the punk rock kind of Euro sound, and me coming from the garage, they were not feeling me. I'm gonna tell you right off. They were not having it. They want to hear things like Dead or Alive, you spin me right round like a record, and all the Euro bands, that's what they were into. I might have had one or two. But like literally, I got Sandman out of there. They gave me my money, and my friend was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and I did not want to do this again. But I used to like play like in Jersey. I dated a promoter, so like my first early experiences, like when I really started like really DJing, was in Newark.
Newark. Okay.
And mainly playing garage classics. And some new stuff,
And they got it, right? Because not everybody gets it.
Let me tell you, to this day.
Yeah, when you come from like the loft and the garage and you try to share your experience, because that's basically, you're not trying to recreate it, but it's a part of you. So you try to share what you've learned and what you like. But not everybody gets it.
Not everyone gets it.
Even today.
And even, I'm going to tell you, even amongst, even back then, people don't talk about that. They don't talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. Even back then, there was still a culture difference in the music, because being a loft head or garage head, there was some clubs that looked down on that kind of music, and it was strictly the R&B sound that they were featuring without really, throwing clubs out there. But, there was some groups that kind of looked down on people that went to the garage or the loft,
And a lot of people, let me just say this real quick, because if you went to the garage, some people thought that you was gay.
But I'm going to tell you that. Or a woman, you was a freak.
That was a badass club. The music was amazing. Everything about it was amazing, but, and then they would say, oh, you have to go, on Saturdays, Fridays is more unisex, for everybody. Now Saturdays more for gay people.
But like the men would look down and, oh, you go there, you must be a freak. It's like, what does that mean? And it was different. They danced different. They dressed different. We'd be like, We used to label those type of girls as the menopause kind of girls from that song of that era, with
Yeah.
the poofy hair, the high heel shoes, the dress, the shoes that they couldn't dance with.
Yeah, they're not going to sweat.
Right, I was like, man, I don't have any time for this. But Jersey got it even back then. Jersey has always been true. They have never really changed until I would say recently, but they've been pretty much true to house like the whole time.
And Brooklyn, and I'm not from Brooklyn, but we got to give Brooklyn their props, man.
I'm from Brooklyn.
I know, because if it wasn't for Brooklyn, I don't think we would even have house music in New York City. Brooklyn keeps it alive. I got to give it to y'all, man. We have people in the Bronx, but it's not like it used to be. You know what
Brooklyn,
I mean?
yeah, let me tell you something. We're talking about, like, you got to give props to the legend. Flowers. My personal mentor, too, John Giuliano Jr., DJ Hassan, but I grew up with him as Pino. He was one of the ones that beat me down to the ground, called me Mita, God bless. But that's Nene, Eternal Soul's husband. Excuse me. And David Morales at the ozone layer. We're talking 80s. Keeping that Brooklyn, New York sound, which was an offshoot of the garage, but Brooklyn honestly brought its own flavor.
Yeah.
To it. And then places like Better Days, that was, primarily gay, but you had Bruce Forrest, you had T. Scott, you had I only knew Bruce and T. Scott, but David also played there a few times. I didn't really know him there playing, but definitely, let me tell you, on a Sunday night, I don't know how I did it to go to work Monday morning, but that was like church,
Wow. So you saw the transitioning of R&B to disco to house music. When you first heard house music, how was that? What was that? Can you for me, I was like, wow, look at this. This music is amazing. How was that for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you. I was at Garage before it was called house. We should just call it club music. Something is definitely changing. And from that R&B disco, right? Because when Larry played classics, basically a classic means anything that's over 4 years old, right? So if you're at the garage, think about this, and let's just say 81, 82, and you go back 5 years, you're talking 1977, right? So that would be considered a classic if he's playing something from 77, 78, right? Even 79, it's a few years old, but it's not archaic, right? So he's stamping what he's going to name as classics, which were, quote, the disco tunes, the R&B tunes, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, The Love I Lost, right? 10%, Double Exposure, some Patrick Adams. These are kind of disco feel infused R&B.
Right.
Right.
There was. I don't think it was even called. There was no such thing as boogie or stuff like. I don't think there was anything.
No.
It was called club music. Yeah.
Something happened in 84 where it definitely started being a change, where it was like, okay, something is happening.
Something's bubbling.
Colonel Abrams with Music Answer. When Larry dropped that, he played it for an hour. I don't know if I could dance to one song for an entire hour now, but he was letting you know that this is it. Then you had Boy Jarvis.
That was Boy Jarvis production.
Boy Jarvis and Timmy.
Yeah.
Bringing that New York sound, right? So and then being on WBLS with Boyd on overdubs, So definitely at that point you knew that New
And it
York.
wasn't called that. It wasn't called house, but it was the
We used to call it
basis of
club.
house
We
music.
used to call it
Yeah,
club.
and it was the basis of house music, really.
To this day, I call it dance music. It's
We
all
used to call it club music. You know,
Yeah.
dance, you know.
some people say underground, but I never use that term underground. We
I
used to
used
call it club
underground
music.
later, way later, in the late '80s. It was called
And
underground.
then when Marshall Jefferson said, "Gotta have house music," it gave house that name.
Yeah.
Hmm.
At that point, then you started having things like Serious Intention, and then that's when you started really getting that change with
Remember Touch Without You? That's a dance
Yes,
song.
Touch was
Yeah.
big. Oh my God, I remember literally dancing out of my clothes.
David's first remix, the Instinctual. I love that
And
record.
yes,
Instinctual.
Yeah. That was a
yeah,
little that was already '87. That's a little bit later in the '80s.
that's a little later, but we're talking still like
With that vibe.
evolution now of what we're gonna call house. So my early thinking would be Serious Intention, definitely Boy Jarvis, definitely believe it or not, Cheryl Lynn with Encore.
Hmm.
Then we're going into things like haven't been funked enough. It's
Oh, I love
definitely,
that record.
yeah. I actually have a rework of that I'm gonna
Oh, shit.
just dropped it. Yeah, all guitar, all done with live musicians.
Good.
But it definitely, that music in New York is taking a different turn. Something different is happening.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was more on the hip hop side as a kid, early '80s, and then the mid '80s, the whole electro funk and all that, bambada and all that, and then the freestyle started coming in, '85, '86, and then they
Yeah.
started having all these house mixes. I'm like, what the fuck is house mixes? And then I was like, what? And then that's when then I started hearing the Chicago music coming in. And so the record started, okay.
Trax record in Chicago ruled house.
Yeah.
Ruled it.
Yeah.
They ruled it
Yeah.
until the 90s. And then, you had Kerry Chandler, come and hitting the scene in 90, 91. People like Jawanda, but that was also Jersey, with Make
That's
My
Jersey.
Body Rock and that kind of stuff,
I got
So,
those jams. I got
Yeah,
all those.
Jersey moving records was killing it even
Abigail
before.
Jackson,
I think
Adams, but also
yeah,
I could not sit here and not give props to my queen sister Yvonne Turner,
yeah,
doing then things like set fire to it, and to me one of the baddest bass lines, take some time out, Arnold Jarvis,
Mm.
so I
Wait, so
was
what does she have to do with the Jarvis? I'm not. I don't.
that's
She did
her.
the
That's her.
yeah. I never really noticed. I thought for some reason I thought it was the guys Tommy Musto and these guys or something.
No, that's Yvonne Turner, along with someone else.
Wow,
Yvonne Turner, yeah. But I was
wow.
fortunate enough at like 19. Larry did played an edit, redid an edit that I had done. So that's my big claim to fame, you know. Um,
Mm.
and so then celebrating that, I stayed out a whole 24 hours and got thrown out because like
Wow.
I told you 10 minutes ago, I kept testing my dad, and he kept saying, "You gonna make me do this?" So he threw me out literally in the rain with $20 to my name.
Oh shit.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you, as a kid, like in college, trying to find her way, everything with music at that point, I literally had an interview with a phone interview with someone big that never happened. That just until recently, I always would beat myself up about it. And I also had gotten a residency that same weekend at a woman's club, Garbo's, and I couldn't do anything because all my records were at the house, and my dad was
Wow.
come get my music. So I never really like addressed it until like a couple of years ago. I had a lot of pent up anger,
Mm.
feeling that all these years had gone by and I missed my calling. And then one day I had a little talk to, and it was at that point that I realized that my life had come full circle and I could let it go. you know
Right.
and once I
Right.
was able to do that, everything just started to flow. Music
Wow.
wise, my life, it was like literally. And then my dad, like 3 years ago, he said to me, he said, I really want to apologize to you. I'm so proud of you that
Wow.
you didn't understand that this meant so much to you. And I wish I would have done more to encourage you in that. But he said, you told me you wanted to be an actress, so I took you to acting school. But I didn't know that music was your main passion. And he said, I
Mm.
just want you to know that I'm really proud of you and that I wish that I would have done more to encourage that. And I'll be honest to you guys, that to me, that was my closure. That was everything.
Yeah.
Right.
That in itself, that was it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, he said to me, that he says, I'm getting up there, and before my eyes close, I want you to know that. So that meant like everything else that I was feeling out the window. Let
Wow.
it go.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
hmm
So when did the music production, when did that pop into your head? Like, I want to let me get some beats down.
Yeah. So, okay. So, like I told you, all this pent up anger for years, right? And like I was in relationships that I was with people that didn't encourage that. You started it off by saying a male dominated field. So, already coming from there, back then
Mm.
it was the gay mafia. Either you were a gay man or you had
Right.
to be associated within that for like the big DJs. I didn't
Right.
know any women, and the women that were playing, they weren't playing like my style of music. You know,
Mm.
so I had a few relationships, and they were like, you're just a club kid. What are you gonna do with your life? I always was, like had a successful career, but music was my downfall. Hanging out, having meetings, not being prepared for meetings, showing up late, being late for work. You can't be on your way striving to be wanting to be a VP art director and coming to work and literally it got so bad at one time. I was showing up to work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and I lost my good job. Seriously. Like that was
Wow.
you know? And so that being said, I had to like regroup and like really like grow up and grow up quickly. Like when, I met my life partner, it was one of those things that it was like, listen, you want to do this, but in order for this relationship to work, you're still young. You can always come back to it, but you're going to have to get yourself a good job with a pension that you can fall back on, you know? And so I had to grow up like really, really quick. So in going through my apprenticeship, it was like there was a period that I didn't hang out. I always still never stopped buying music, but I really didn't do the clubs, you know? And I always wanted to get into the production thing. I mean, doing the edits, at a young age, but really get into production. And so, like I want to say in 2004, 2005, because it was right after um, Hassan died, Nini's husband died, and we had talked about, having a production company and doing production together and what have you. I made a promise that to myself after he passed that I would fulfill, quote, our dream. And
Wow.
let me tell you, like, I enrolled in production school, and it just wasn't for me because I just wanted to get to it. I didn't want to go through the theory. I was already doing theory from being an electrician. I'm like, I just want to get to making music, you
Yeah.
know? And I paid someone to come to my house on Sundays. It was outrageous, I'll tell you, what I paid this guy private sessions
But in the
until
long run, it worked.
Yeah. Everybody's path, it's like we are we all in the same ship, man. We get there by different boats, but we all get it, we all on the same ship. Everybody's journey, everybody's path is personal. I can identify with some of the things that you're saying, but you got there. That's the main thing.
yeah, like this guy, the first guy was hip hop, but I was like making some hard beats, and he was like, "Damn, whoa." One of those beats, I'm going to tell you, somebody still to this day owes me some money. Because one of those beats I'm not going to say name names, but it was actually a beat. They snatched a beat that I did.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that happened more than once,
You mean for like big songs? Big?
I'm talking a big hit for a big hip hop artist. Came out of my studio.
So they did a hip hop record with one of your beats?
Nah, when I started production, that I came back before I got into the house, I was doing hard hip hop beats. And this dude was up in my house and heard that shit. And there you go.
That was rampant during those. It's always been like that. I remember
choices like you could shank the guy, like
it's worse. Yeah. It's even worse now, man.
Yeah.
Let it go, let it go.
Easier to
but at that point, I knew that I had something, and then when I really started just finding my own sound, which I'll be honest, I found my sound, and then I ran away from it for a long time, which was Afrotech.
But that's what I want to ask you. Like, does your Panamanian background, your culture, does it play any kind of, like, for me, my Puerto Rican culture is all in my music.
Definitely.
So how does that?
Without a doubt. Definitely the drums. Someone said to me, "Can you make a track without putting drums?"
No, it's so different. They sound so different without drums.
I said, "Sure, I can."
Everything sound better to me.
Right. But when I started saying, okay, I'm not going to put drums in here or not make the drums so hard there, it did change it. And it musically, I'll tell you something though. It wasn't until, it's got to be about like 5 years now, 4.5, 5 years, that my music changed because I started hearing it different. And I really took in the theory that I had been running away from.
Which is what?
I just wanted to be like Prince. I wanted to just do my own thing. I was going to just have my own stink genre. Forget what anybody else is doing. Why does everything need to be 4 on the floor or 4 to the floor? No. If it's got a groove, then, but like anything, you still do need that formula. You need it. For dance music, you got to remember DJs, they're mixing it, dancing to it. So it does need to have a certain pocket. Then I'm going to get to something else. But good music should have a pocket, right? Even if it's Afro, Latin, soulful, it still has that swing, that pocket. And that's what I felt my music was missing. It wasn't until I went and I took some live drumming. Like I used to play the drums how I was playing them. It was wrong. But that was my own flavor, And so when I went to this class down here in Miami, and I go into the circle with all the djembe players, and the instructor is like, that's all he did, meaning me. And he did like this. I stopped. He didn't embarrass me. He didn't make me feel like, get out of here. What are you doing? He just was just like, then he came over and he said, you're not, you're not on beat. And there was a woman there. He said to the woman, I want you to take her in the corner and spend a half hour with her. And you know what's crazy? I wasn't offended. I wasn't embarrassed. I didn't feel like, oh my God, why did you do this to me? I don't want to come back. I took it in because I said, I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
Right? And I went in the corner and I got in with her. Got in with that djembe, got in. And then I started seeing where I was out of my rhythm, out of the pocket. And I couldn't wait to go into the park and just play daily, or go the next week. And now I'm in there with them, getting that groove. When I went home after that session, I tell you not, and Antonio, we talked about this when I had you over. I went and I wanted to take my entire catalog down. I was like, oh my God. Oh, but you know what? That's learning.
Yeah.
It's learning. And any producer that we love, if you listen to their early work to where they are now.
Oh yeah, everybody.
You should hear.
I cringe at my old stuff.
But it's growth. It's growth.
It is. It is. Music production, music programming, music, everything related to music it's a never-ending growing experience. You learn so much stuff every time.
Some people. Sorry. Some people don't evolve. They get stuck.
That's where we're going with what I said.
That's something that I refuse to let happen to me. Like I want to keep reaching and trying different things. If it's not a challenge, then I don't even want to do it.
It's funny.
Now don't sound like my stuff from 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So some people, like I'm mindful that I want to evolve. Some people don't, but y'all know what I mean.
When I started doing the production and this guy came to my studio, he said to me, what type of producer do you want to be like? Do you want to be like X? Or do you want to be like X? Without naming names. And I said, well, I want to be like that guy. And he said, well, this is what you're going to have to do. Because when this guy puts out music, you don't even want to listen to it. You know what I mean? But I find now, like I saw something of a post and someone said something about there's not any good music out there. I would disagree.
I disagree.
Man, there's been some really good music.
You put out a few dope the last few jams, and Doug been putting out. He's consistent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good music. I think a lot of people are just lazy when it comes to trying to find trying to dig for music.
And you know what the key is, Doug? What I have to say, if you feel there's not good music out there, then make it. Stop looking for the next. Stop pointing fingers.
Yeah.
If you feel that there isn't good music out there, then you be the one to make it.
But you know what, Mickey? That might just be people's frustration because there's so much music that's not good. There's an abundance of.
That's the thing. People are being lazy to dig because there is good music, and yeah, it might be in a bunch of 200 new release tracks, but it takes it takes some time to search for it. There's a lot of stuff that gets lost.
You gotta know the difference between good and bad music.
And yes, it's everybody.
There's people that have told me, yo, that's a dope jam, and I listen to it. I'm like, that's not dope. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Everybody has their own taste. That's the thing. So each his own.
No, I hear you, Doug. people have their own taste, but there is such a thing as good and bad music. And if someone is saying that something is dope and it's really bad, that tells me a lot about the person. They don't know good music. Period.
I would say this. I would say this. I think a lot of bad music gets encouraged
Yep.
by people wanting to stay relevant. Doug, the one thing I can
I
say,
agree.
I'm
I
not
agree with
saying
you
this
100%.
because I'm in an interview with you, but Doug has remained one of the few who can put out a magnitude of music and its quality, not just quantity.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay?
I agree.
Not everyone can do that. Not everyone. So that formula works for you. It doesn't work for everyone. For me, I come from the old school that I come from where I kind of want to make pieces that people associate me with, my legacy. So when I'm no longer here, what would that one track that when you think of say Frankie Knuckles, you think of the whistle song. Frankie Knuckles has made hundreds of music masterpiece. But you think of Frankie Knuckles, you think of the whistle song.
Mhm.
When you think of Mickey Affleck, I want to leave something that people go, Mickey Affleck.
Right.
So I want to, each piece that I work on, that's what I'm hoping to leave. Just in case my number is called, it's timeless. It doesn't always happen,
Right.
but I want to have something that's associated with my name that's timeless. You know,
Right.
so if I work on my music that way, hopefully it gets received that way. I hear things and I'm like to myself, that's your finished product? Because to me, it still sounds like a reference track,
Yeah.
you know, but to each his own, you know.
Exactly.
No, I'm a true believer, man. That's good and bad music. You know.
I mean, there's good and bad. Yeah, that's true. But when it comes to music, like I still, yeah, everybody has their own taste. Like a lot of music that was bad had such a big following. You talk about like punk rock stuff like that. It wasn't really actual musically. It didn't have chords like like.
Within
But
within within every genre of music, there's good and bad music, bro.
Because there was some bad 80s stuff. There was some bad
yeah,
90s stuff.
Yeah, and
yeah,
I hear
yeah.
some things down and I go, man, it must have been that punch.
yeah,
It had me thinking that this was a good song because like I hear it now and I'm like, how did we even think that that was good back then?
yeah.
You know, it
And
wasn't.
and I think a lot of people don't. And a lot of people, you mentioned something about before about people don't, they'll big up the music that's not good. But I think a lot of people don't even like. I hear some records that the music don't go with the vocals or the vocalist is off key.
I don't
But
know.
or it's a really tracky record and the vocals it's like another whole other tune.
Yeah.
And but these DJs they big it up. I'm like thinking maybe they don't understand
No, they
music
don't.
structure. They don't understand or they can't hear it. So it's like, and I pointed it out. It was funny. I pointed it out to a lot of people. This it's a track that sounds like a mashup. The vocals do not go with this music, and they're like, meanwhile it's on their top 10. I'm like, and I make them think, you're right. It does the vocals don't. It sounds like a
Because
mashup.
I had an artist, and I said to him just that. I said, your drums are out of tune. They're out of key. He said, what? I said, your drums are out of key. It I said they have a key. And
Yeah,
it's not even some tracks, if you have say a female vocal, right? A beautiful angelic female vocal, they want to put like this hard beat. This woman sounds like an angel. I'm not telling you to give me a symphony or something that's gonna, bore me to death, but pair it with the voice.
Yeah.
Make it
Right.
engaging.
Or as a producer, I could tell you something. Creatively, you could take that type of voice and put a hard rhythm, but you have to know what you're doing. It has to be
Mhm.
a good contrast, a good balance. And then that contrast, it will pull you in.
Yeah.
It has to be done right. So I understand what you're saying, but it can be done, but you have to know what you're doing, and you have to really give it some thought. It's like there's so much music coming out, you know, and that's another thing I was thinking about today. Two things I was thinking about today. Now that you mentioned drumming, you know, it's getting to the point where sometimes I hear certain songs. Now I love percussion. Like since I was a young boy, it's not a fad for me. You know what I mean? And you know, it's part of my upbringing. It's part of my culture. So I know the sound. I know how it's supposed to sound. Then I hear records sound like metal. I'm like, drum.
Yeah.
Those guys are not supposed to sound like metal unless you're Henrik Schwartz and you do it on purpose. Because he did it on purpose and he freaked it. That shit was dope. He did a couple of jams like that, you know. But
I hear
so,
percussionists that sounding like that, and I'm like, dude, and they think it's the bomb.
yeah, it sounds like metal.
Right.
It's supposed to sound
Mhm.
like metal,
Yeah.
you know.
I have to be honest though, like even Afro for me still needs a warmth. It still
Yeah,
needs a groove.
yeah,
A lot of it just is not doing it for me.
yeah,
It's just cold. It's what you said, very tin pan. I think, and that should be its own. Whether it's you want to call it Afro tech, Euro, Afro Euro, I don't know, but
You know what's another
Afro.
thing I was thinking about today too? Tell me what y'all think about this. I was thinking about this today. It's gonna get to the point, and I heard an elder. It was a jazz musician. I don't remember who it was. This was a while ago, like 5 years ago, during an interview somewhere. And he said, you know, it's gonna get so bad with you know with the younger generation with producing music that they're not gonna know how to use live instruments because they're not gonna know what it the right, you know, they're not gonna have the ear for like I don't read music, but I could tell if something is not in key.
Right.
I can't tell you what key it is sometimes, but I know that is off key. You know what I mean?
But a lot
With
don't
the ear,
hear
I have
me.
the musician's ear. But it's get, you know, I was thinking today, like it's just gonna get to the point where people so many people are not using live musicians anymore that they're not like if you get a nasty ass saxophone player, you're not gonna know like how to use them.
But also, how about this? How about
Or
music
her. It's a
has
bad.
become so it has become so easy. My nieces, I still never put the track out. One's graduated college and the other is a junior, but they made a song now. It came up in I was embarrassed. It came up in my timeline in 2012. That's almost 10 years ago. And when I tell you the sample, I sat there and just let them do their thing. The sample that they pulled is like a sample now that is like the samples of all samples now. And I'm not hating, but I'm like, yo, my 11 and 13-year-old nieces used that sample pack in 2012. Like, I think, you know what? I think I'm going to put it out next week and just put it out because it's been so long now.
Put
But
it out.
creatively, you have people that honestly I've had producers come to my home that don't know how to program. If you don't know how to program, that's your business. But they don't know how to program. They just pull loops.
Yeah.
Now, if it works, it's a dancer saying that this is this loop pack while they're dancing. No. It works, it has a groove. But you know what? The same token, I come from the school of saying if Quincy Jones calls you, if David Morales calls you, if Louis Vega calls you, you better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You better know. You better have some idea. Okay.
It's
You better make it
so.
count too. You better make it count. But let me ask y'all. I'm gonna ask you a question, but it's for everybody. Tell us about a memorable DJ experience. One of your topics, and when I say that, I mean something that really sticks out to you about that experience. Not that there was 10,000 people or 1,000 people. It could have been 50 people, but something about that particular night that or that gig that you had that really stands out as a top 3 gigs for you. Do you recall any?
That I'm playing or somebody?
No, like you're playing. That one of your experiences. One of your
definitely Croatia. Croatia 6 in the morning. Like I'm there 6 in the morning, and I'm like, okay, is anybody gonna be there? Like I was just so amped up. I went and I took a disco nap, and I was up at 4. I couldn't even sleep anymore. Took a shower, had a little breakfast. I had a beautiful flat in Croatia, and I called a taxi, told him to pick me up at this time, because the streets are dark, the road to get in there. And I get there 5:45, and people are already there. I'm like, what the heck is this? They're like waiting. Come on, where's the DJ? Like those Brits, they party,
Yeah.
And the way they had the booth, like literally, I had to be on blocks to get to the mixer. But I knew that was like the first opportunity, say, quote, internationally. And I was taking no prisoners when I tell you. I mean, I literally came with the sledgehammer.
Nice.
You was in a zone. Did you feel that zone?
Beyond.
I'm telling you.
Beyond. And so, like, because I'm tiny and I'm there with the men, and I like got that crowd juicy. Like they were like, I literally saw them. They were like, what the fuck is, like, who is this? One just came right. Who the fuck are you? Who are you? And then I seen them like trying to push me off. I'm like, buddy, like you don't know. I'm from Brooklyn right now. Back up. Hold on a minute. And one of them was like, you could actually play. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Without naming any names, but I came to tear their ass up to the point that I was a hard act to follow.
That's good. How about you, Doug?
Man, I have quite a few.
All right.
But I think one of them could have been when I was young. When you start DJing out for the first time to a crowd. But I think I have, but really, it has to be between either when I started doing parties myself. I used to bring out the equipment, my own speakers. I had a couple of friends that we used to do it with, and we would do loft parties, and just the excitement and thrill of throwing your own party. And I know, Antonio, you have a lot of experience with web and stuff. You do in your own party. You know that excitement when you're working on your own thing.
Yeah.
And you bring in your own vibe. You're not just bringing your records. You bring in your equipment. You bring in you're highlighting a space to how you want it to look like and sound like. So we did a couple of parties. Me and there was Richie, aka Love on the Run. Trying to think who else. It was a spin-off. It was like a spin-off of I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know Soul Kitchen back in the days.
I heard Soul Kitchen.
Soul Kitchen. So I did a party called Soul Chicken. And I got this space.
What?
Soul Chicken.
Soul
Chicken.
Soul Chicken.
Yeah, instead of Soul Kitchen, I called the party Soul Chicken. And I got this space back then. I was working at the record label, and I got this space in NoHo of all places, like downtown NoHo. That's the place to be. And there was a kid in our label. He was an intern at the record label. He was Japanese, and somehow he was also an intern at this place, also Japanese owned. So he had the hookup. I said, "Yo, I got this space." So I come down and look at it. So I went down to look at it. I was like, "Wow, it's right on what's the name? Grace, was it Grace Jones Street? I think. Great Jones Street. Great Jones. I can't remember. Great Jones Street in NoHo. And I look at this space as, wow, this is nice and raw. Had a bathroom in the back. It was perfect. And I said, I could do this myself, but I'm going to get my friends. So I got a whole bunch of friends who were DJs. No, I actually got Timmy Richardson to come down to play as well. And there was a bunch of us, and we just had I wasn't expecting a big crowd, but it turned out to be a nice big crowd. And everybody, and I didn't even play house music. Since everybody was playing house music, I played reggae. I was a big dancehall reggae in my early 90s. And I still have those records.
Back then, that's what we did. We played everything.
Exactly.
You had reggae in your set. You had slow jams in your set.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I said, let me play something different because everybody's bringing the house. I think even Richie played some break beats, and there was some kids breakdancing. I said, wow, this is amazing. Out of nowhere. So I'm gonna play some reggae dancehall. And it was just that excitement of doing your own thing, bringing out your own equipment, creating your own vibe, not just bringing your records, but you're just creating a thing. So that's one of my memorable experiences.
Yeah. For me, the Southern Soul Music Festival, I was on it. I was in a zone on that one, but even
Greece,
Montenegro, which is the old Yugoslavia.
Wow. Okay.
About 3 years ago, it was like, it was like one of those nights that you can't do anything wrong. Nothing. You can't. You such in a zone. You know what I mean? You so connected with the people and the music and the whole vibe. You know what I mean? So that was one special night. But one of them that really sticks out for me, it was at a Club Deep with Marcus Wyatt. He had booked me, flew me out there, and it was one of those nights. And matter of fact, it was the same year that song "Feeling Fine" came out, the Frankie Feliciano remix promo. So they hadn't heard it yet. Not even Marcus had heard it. I had a white on vinyl promo.
That's a dope record too.
And that's and matter of fact, I even got a picture that somebody sent me with these two guys over the turntable like this, trying to get the name of it. It's just a badass picture. I got it. Yo, it's bad. It's a moment. It's a really nice moment. But that night could do no wrong. And it goes back to like, I play some Santana, I play some Latin jazz. It's like, how can you go from drum and bass to some Santana to, I did it like that. And at the end of the night, this is something that never happened to me before or after. There was this tall black brother. He came in front of the DJ booth and he was like this. After I finished the last record, there's still crowded. He came up right in front of me like this with his hands up. I'm like, I stepped back. I'm like, what this brother gonna do, right? And then he went like this, and it was just money. It was just money. And then everybody started throwing money at me. Yo, I was embarrassed. I was humbled and embarrassed. And I looked at Mark. I said, yo, I don't know what to do. He said, pick it up. Take that shit. Take the money. Everybody started throwing money at me.
That's it. That happened.
4 or cents. And that night, I tell you, I will never forget that. Even Marcus told me, yo, Antonio, I got to get you out here like on rotation. And that never happened, but he did hook me up with other gigs, that with other people that he knew. He recommended me, and that was nice of him. But yeah, that stands out for me. Yo, it's great, man. Like these, and that's the thing, we live for that. People that DJ, because we all have off nights too.
Yeah.
Doug reminded me when we first started talking, he reminded me of a night.
Oh, PS1.
I took the needle off the record I was playing and shit.
I remember that was way before. It's funny, that was such a long time ago, and I never thought I'd be telling you that story.
No, that's cool.
Who took the needle off the record?
I did.
He did.
I took it.
You were there. You were at the party.
I was at the party. I went to check out Antonio because I loved his music, his records at the time. This was like late 97, 98. And he was playing PS1 before it was out in the main area.
Yeah.
It was on one of the side areas. And it was cool because it was nice and smaller. And I'm listening, and then we were all dancing. Then all of a sudden the music comes off. and he had pulled the needle off the record I was playing.
Man,
there was nobody made a. I don't remember if anybody made a fuss, but it was,
Like
you know
that
what I learned about any of that stuff? Let me say this. You know what I learned about any of that stuff? As long as you playing dope music, it
doesn't matter.
It don't matter. It don't matter, exactly.
He goes silent
it was dope.
5 minutes.
Make up for it, but it happens to everybody, man.
Oh, it's happened to me.
The crowd will make the music.
Yeah, and those nights that are really special to you, it could be 30 people, but something about that connection that you get in a whole different space, man.
Yeah. What about a DJ? Have you ever had like where DJ just made you lose your religion? Like just made you? Has that ever happened to you?
I think for me it has to be Joe Clausel.
Okay.
Yeah. Joe, when Body and Soul, when he took on, he was my favorite DJ at Body and Soul. I mean, Francois did his thing. He was eclectic. Danny Cribbett was dope, but Joe took you to that space because not just the way he may have worked the knobs too much, but sometimes he just did it at the right time.
Yeah.
And the way he wasn't so much about blending two records and making riding records forever. He was about playing the right song at the right moment and working that fucking record till the end. He'll blend the record right at the end. He don't give a fuck. Right when it was finishing, he don't give a fuck. It's about working that record throughout the whole fucking night. And he took me there. I was like, Louis Vega too, but Joe Clausel for me.
Experience in Croatia. Something about the year in Croatia. I think that was when he had I think he promised me twice. He caught me out there like that. But this one morning, it was like 5 a.m, and it's between the sun's coming up, and it's an open. We're all out in the open, and he's playing, and I start listening to the words, and I'm dancing and I'm crying, and I have on this shirt, and my left titty pops out.
A Janet Jackson moment.
Yo, and I'm like all in this moment, and I'm dancing, man, and I'm crying, and I keep feeling this. And I'm like, yo, what if they bother me? Like, don't bother me. I'm in my groove, right? So finally, I guess the woman comes, in front of me, and my eyes are like closed, and she's like, honey, and I'm still all in my thing. Man, that titty must have been out.
That titty, you wanted to dance. You wanted to be free too.
Oh yeah, that was a moment, Yeah, that was a moment.
For me, there's only been one, y'all. There's only been one person that has moved me, and there's been nobody else, and that's David Mancuso, man. And not even just him, but the space of being in the law. It just, like you said, Mickey, when you first started talking, that was a life changer. And we talked about it last time we did this. It just changed my life, man. Like no one has ever moved me like him. As far as a music lover and a dancer and going out to nobody, man. Nobody. Like he just did it, man.
Let me ask you this. During the pandemic, have you checked out anybody's set that has brought, because we're still not over, but has anybody given you a moment? I've had a few, and I have to say, to the DJs that's been holding it down. I mean, I just started trying to be consistent because I hate commitment, but really being consistent, it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
like
it is.
Morales last year had me messed up. He played one of the first songs that I took my lunch money as a kid, my little allowance, 45. I think a 45 was 50 cents back then. But to buy that record, he played it. Messed me up. When I tell you, and that's when I recently put that, a DJ can play the right record at the right time. That your core, your inner core. They've done their job. Forget anything else, whether the blend was right or the blend was off, or this.
Right.
We've gotten too mechanical.
Yeah.
That's what happens to music now, where the DJ is so mechanical that it's lost the feel. Not every
And that's
mix needs to be perfect.
and I want to jump on that. And also the whole thing about the streaming and what's happening now during the pandemic. Everybody's doing it. Even I just jumped into it, but only because I didn't have internet for a whole year. And I'm watching these streams, and whether people know it or not, you're still creating a show. If you're going to get on live stream, you have to. It's a show. You got to. And I get this from my wife all the time. It's a show. You got to put on a show. You got to put on a show face.
Yeah.
I'm watching some DJs like they're just all into the mix. They're not even looking at the camera. They're not even barely even moving, and they're just head down, blending with the perfect mix, and that's it.
I'm gonna tell you,
me as a spectator.
Yeah.
Hold on. Why would I? How is that going to be? Why is that exciting? Why do I want to sit on the screen and just watch that?
Yeah.
You putting on a show, dance a little, interact, get the mic. Yo, what's up? Do something.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I checked out, this weekend I caught this girl. I don't know her name, and I apologize, man. But I just stumbled upon her, and I can't.
What time?
Huh?
What time? What time of the day?
Oh no, I think it was Sunday. What was her name? I'll tell you right now.
Nina Soul?
No, it was. I don't know her name, but the name of her show is called Soul in the Horn.
Oh, that's what's her face.
Natasha Diggs.
Natasha Diggs.
Yo,
she puts on the show.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. And then she's grooving and having fun.
Yeah.
Like you
exactly.
She's not acting. Like she's really
no, she's putting.
And I only heard about. I caught the end of her set. I maybe heard like about 10 jams. All of them was dope.
Yeah, she's dropping heavy disco, R&B, boogie, all that stuff, house music.
Yeah, let me tell you something that really moved me, man. Recently, in the last few weeks, and that's listening to David Morales, because I had never heard him play before. There's a lot of DJs that are famous or whatever that I never heard. And that's because it goes like I was telling you before, Doug. Once I started going to loft, I didn't really want to hear nobody else. But anyway, it's not only like it's just how he's being so vulnerable, so honest, and so humble.
What are you talking about? You talking about his interview?
I'm talking about he's playing good music, but I'm talking.
He literally. You feel you're part of that Sunday mass.
Yeah, like
he literally that show is his life.
He's being very humble, and he's talking about things about himself that a lot of people wouldn't say publicly. You know what I mean? And for me, it's like I have grown admiration for this brother.
He's taught me. He was the one who pushed me. If I could say musically, if I owe anything to anyone, would be David Morales, because when I went back to that angry person, aside from my dad, he is one of the only men that publicly could, and he's done it publicly, has told me about myself. Didn't give a who was there when he feels that I didn't step up to the plate, or I will say this is what you need to do. X, Y, and Z, or don't care about what people say, or do you. And music being a mentor to that word, true to that word. But about his show, he says he doesn't care even after that show has become his life. And it's become part of my Sunday. Like I literally plan. If I even sometimes you can't, if you have life things that you have to do, that's but that's become part of my routine. It's because it's also my healing. We've been through the storm, and people can say what they want to say, but it's the music.
Yeah,
it's kept us not literally going stir crazy. You know
what I dig? I dig his vibe though when he's dancing and shit, because that's like an old school dance and shit. Yo, he's a funny dude. Like I don't know him, but
Yeah.
I'm getting to know him through his show because he's so honest. You know, and a lot of people not like that. You know, and for someone on that level to just be so humble, man, it means a lot. Like I really grown some admiration for the brother, man.
Yeah, he's a good. He's.
So those are like the ones that I've tuned into him, you know, and this girl. You know, I'm looking forward to this Sunday to check her out again, man. She plays some good music.
Mm-hmm. Do you find though? This is what I'm finding. I'm playing and I'm hearing music that I have never played in my set.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? Like even when I buy music, you know, you might buy music for a gig or a show or just buy because it's a hot tune. If you don't have a gig, you know, if you're not doing shows every week or whatever, it could sit there for months, a year or whatever. And I'm finding now that your audience might not know that came out 3 years ago because they missed it. To them, it's new. They never heard it before. I played one of your songs last week, not the new one, but maybe I'm wrong. Something Conqueror. Conqueror.
You talking about who you talking to, Antonio?
Antonio. Something Conqueror.
No,
the Portal? Antonio?
Portal? You talking about Portal?
Not Portal, something. Do you have a song called Conqueror or Conquistador or Conqueror?
Man, listen.
Whatever. You can't even remember what you made. Let me tell you something.
Let me tell you this. This is funny. This dude, I had a cookout. He's playing a record. Ace was playing a record. I said, yo, that shit is dope. What is that? And he thought I was playing. I was like, yo, that shit is dope. What is that shit? He said, bro, you know, you playing, right? I said, what is it? He said, it's your jam, bro. It was Charm. He was playing Charm and shit.
I told you I played that. I played Charm. Charm. And this dude came up to me. He did not care. He was like, I'm not leaving here until you tell me the name of that track.
Damn.
I think I sent you a text about that. This is years ago. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just last, actually, when playing music online, you say you play tunes that people don't know if it's old or not. Yesterday, I played one of my tunes, and right there, DJ goes, "Yo, I just bought this record right now because you played it."
Yeah.
So actually, it's nice to hear that you playing your own music. You might think people know it. I wasn't going to play it because I knew people know. You know, I thought maybe everybody knows it, but I played it.
I got a good question for y'all. How do y'all feel as a DJ about playing your own music? How do you feel about that? About playing your own music?
It took years. I was not able to play my own music.
Yeah.
It actually, I'll be honest with you.
I don't mean, you know, like just, yeah.
I couldn't play my own music until I did something with an artist and she was there waiting for me to play it and I didn't play it. And it was very upsetting. And then I remembered how I would feel going out hoping that my song would be played and it wasn't. And at that point, I had to make a conscious decision that I'm only going to make music that I feel that I want to play. Not that I didn't want to play that. Sometimes, you know, you get in the moment. I forget to even play my tunes.
Yeah.
You get in the moment. But I just saw this kid, I'm going to call him kid, but his love and of producing and I like to say he's not jaded. It's John Maverick.
Oh yeah.
He said that
John Maverick.
Yeah, he's
very cool dude. Very cool.
He couldn't play his own. He couldn't play his own music. You know, so you know, producers go through that.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's very important
to
play your music because your audience needs to know that that's what you do.
Yeah, you're promoting yourself. You need to promote yourself.
You think there should be a balance? Because there's people that they play a lot of their music all night. Like,
It should be a balance. Everything should be a balance.
yeah. How do you feel about it, Doug?
For me, it's not so much that it's like I don't want to play my music. Is that I'm so tired of hearing it that I just don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
Because not only you going through the process of producing it, then you got to deal with the mix down, and you're hearing it a whole mess of so many more times. Then I'm mastering it now myself too, so I'm hearing it way more than I should. It gets to the point that once I finish it, I don't want to hear it no more.
Yeah, I hear that.
So, but now,
everybody's sick of it.
yeah, but I don't want to hear it no more. But then last night, you know what? I see I need to start playing. So I played a couple of my tunes. I play some of the stuff that's not even out yet. I said I need to play on my music. I need to play my music, even though I'm tired of hearing it so much. I need to play because not every people are tuning into me because they know the music I'm putting out, so they want to hear that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to
finding a balance. I believe in finding a balance. That's how I was telling Doug. He didn't know, like, that's how me and Joanne got together. Because we were doing WEPA. We just friends, we had a very strong disagreement. She's like pushing me you don't play your music. I'm like, Joanne, I don't care about that. I don't think that way. I just want to play dope music. I'm not thinking, I got to play my music. And, she was right, though, because I went, I wasn't playing any of my music. And I
have to.
But it's good to find a good balance. I personally don't want to hear somebody playing all of their stuff. Me personally, I want to hear all kinds of music, but that's for me. But yeah.
But so Mika, you used to hear him talk going back to Dave Morales. You used to hear him at Ozone Layer, right?
Yes.
How was that?
I've never been there.
I'll tell you, the memories that I have of
Ozone what?
At Ozone.
The Ozone. Not Ozone Layer.
I can remember the 2 times that he played at the garage, and that freaked him out. Because I told him his set, not the whole set, but, and this is a true story, and people know that I try to tell the truth, and I keep shit 100. But when I heard him play at the garage, also Larry Patterson, I felt that they were better than Larry Levan. Not saying, taking away anything from Larry, but sometimes, and now as a DJ, I should say now as a DJ, but doing my shows, I get it. Sometimes people don't want the whole eclectic all the time. They just want to hear what they know and love.
Yeah.
Like, they got dressed to go out hoping to hear.
Yeah.
I'll just make something up. Say they went out to hear, hey, you might think as a DJ it's corny, but somebody actually got dressed when that was out because they wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
Now you're so eclectic that you played everything foreign that the dancer can't even identify with one song for the night. It was good music, but you still have to give the dancer something that they identify with. When I heard David play at the garage, when he filled in when Larry was away, he did that because he brought Brooklyn. He gave us what we already knew, what we, like Latin, what do you call it? Can you move to the Latin groove and encore and haven't been funked enough and like tunes that we knew, but he made them his own by the way that he played them, if you know what I mean. So he's been my first DJ crush since I'm 19. And I got my own stories that I will never share with the public, but my peeps know about the love that goes back now 40 years. So me and him coming back full circle, like there are no words. There are no words that I could say, but that my life literally came full circle, and it's just a special love. But going
Right.
back to what I don't even remember, you were talking about the ozone layer. I remember some parts of him playing at the ozone layer.
Is it called the ozone layer or was it called the ozone? What was the name of the
No, the
actual club?
ozone layer. But they
It was
weren't
called the
happy.
ozone layer.
Yeah, it wasn't happy moments for me, honestly, because I
No,
I was in a relationship that wasn't good,
Yeah.
and I don't want
because
to.
that was a Brooklyn. I heard I never that was way before my time, but I heard that was a place to go
Yeah, that
in
was
Brook
it
in
was a
Brooklyn.
I never
small
never went
place.
there.
It was a little small place in Brooklyn. These
Right.
I
places.
heard of it. I never went.
Think about it. They're fire traps. One door in, one
Yeah,
door
like
out.
the social clubs, kind of like yeah.
But
Yeah,
Mickey, let me ask you this. Tell us about your label. How did that whole thing come about?
I always wanted to be
I
A&R.
love the name. I love the name.
I got that name from laying here on the beach in I think 2004. I was in Miami, down in South Beach, and the sun hit me, and I just said, "Man, the soul sun just feels so good on me."
Yeah.
And I Googled to see if there was any soul sun, and then I needed the balance, and I wanted it again. Soul sun, soul music. I wanted you to know that it was going to hit your soul.
Yeah.
But
I dig
um,
it.
I always want to be A&R. Always want to be A&R. So for me, when I started making music, it was only humanly just natural for me to want to have my own label, which is something I always wanted to do, you know. And I interned in my early 20s for Arista, so I understood a little of how the music business kind of worked, you know. And then when I started making music, I waited like 3 years before my first release because I was like, no, it's coming out on my label, and I had offers. I had people that wanted to sign it. In the last minute, I backed out, chickened out, or whatever. But I have more unreleased music. I was just thinking about that. I have more unreleased music than the music that I put out. I mean, I've put out like over 150 releases, tracks, not releases, but tracks. But I have more unreleased than released. Why? Part of it is some of them are my babies. I don't know if this makes sense. And they're just my own personal healing therapy that when I hear it, I can tell you everything about that track. Every point, it's like a roadmap. All right, right here, it was my therapy where I was at that point. Even when I'm dancing, it's like I see it as though I was making it. And some of them I don't want to share with the world. I don't. They're my babies.
That's all right.
I will, but you know what? Some I just want to keep. Like, a mom that I don't want my children out in that ugly, cold world. Being a
So so was your first musical commercial release on your own label, or did you have something before?
never, it was always on my label. I have
Okay.
done very few releases on other people with
Yeah.
other people.
Me too. I've by
Yeah, you and I talked about that.
by
I've
choice. I've
from the first release, from the very first release to now, and I think only a handful of remixes.
yeah.
I do get offered remixes, but honestly, they really have to touch me because I don't take stems on what's given. It's how I want to hear it. So I want to recreate that, and that could become costly. So
Very.
I really have to feel it if I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but I think now, like I put something out, and I'll be honest, I gotta like sit down and revamp it because right now where I'm at in my life, I'm like this.
You're good.
You know, nothing is bothering me.
Like
Nothing.
how they say, like water off a duck's back.
Nothing's bothering me. You know, nothing is bothering me. Life is good,
That's,
even in a pandemic.
that's a blessing, man.
I'm blessed.
Not
Really,
everyone can say that.
I really am. Not everyone can say that. You know, and when you really get in tune, inner. For me, this is inner,
Mhm.
and it took a long time to get here, to really be comfortable in my inner self.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm here, on when I get ready, but I put out this release with this Italian guy that is we call each other our soul karma connection, right? We had not one friend in common on IG, and I put out just a hashtag something tattoo producers, and he friend requested me, and when I looked, through his, you know, Instagram pictures, I'm not gonna lie, my mouth opened up and I like almost screamed because I had never seen a man that reminded me of myself
Hmm.
that way. And honestly, I put it out and I didn't even do any promos. I think I gave like 2 promos out. Louis played it, Little Ray played it. He dropped it on his show and did it the old fashioned way. He let the dancers decide whether they liked it or not. And I was nervous when he did that because I was like, oh my God, like these are the dancers and they loved it. It got absolutely no play from the distributor that we use, but that's okay because you know what I know? Music doesn't have an expiration date.
Exactly.
So sometimes you put things out and you expect certain things that it doesn't happen, doesn't mean that it's not good. No, it might not be the right time, so no biggie. Like the remix that I did of it is crazy. So revamp it and put it out at another time.
But
You know?
sometimes too, and not, sometimes it's not even the music or the timing. Sometimes it's, people, a lot of people that buy music, that's into music, they pay attention to names. That's why I did a song one time called The Name Game, because it's not about the music for a lot of people. They say it is, but it's not. And that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Because there's songs that I bet you that the songs that you've done that I bet you any amount of money that if I put somebody else's name on it, everybody
You
going.
know what happened? I was talking to Dennis for real, and he asked about a track. He and David came to hear me play the following year in Croatia. And Dennis for real was like, yo, you was playing some shit. And I'm like, literally, when I found out that they were there, I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous, because that's you got David Morales and Dennis Ferrer sitting there, watching you play. And he said, oh, put my name on it next time. you know, because if I know for a fact a few tracks, if I would have put somebody else's name as a ghostwriter, it would be number one. And I'm not being conceited or anything like that.
It's the reality. I
I'm not.
was telling Doug this.
No, but I know for a fact
You ain't got to convince me.
tracks
I know what you're talking
that
about.
if I was Ghost and I took my name off of it and put, literally, it would be number one for maybe a month.
Let me tell you, I was telling Doug this the other day. I said, Doug, I have made songs that if it has somebody else's name on it, they'd be calling them a genius. And it fell onto deaf ears, But let me ask y'all this, both of y'all. No, it's true. It's reality, man. And it's something that we have to learn how to deal with.
Right. And it's just not production too. It's not
amazing, and people don't even pay attention.
Sometimes people don't get it.
They don't get it.
And pandemic, that rock mix.
But let me
rock mix 10 years. 10 years. And actually that house star, the rock mix that David did the remix on, that was my this. Honestly, because I felt, and I'm not going to be, once again, be conceited, but I just have to talk facts, being honest as a producer. The America Real Pandemic that I did with Sugar Lyrics. Me personally,
y'all, it's raining. I gotta take some stuff out the yard.
pull up your pants. Was, to me, one of my best pieces.
Right.
I have people saying to me, "Yo, that song, Mickey, that song is gonna be timeless." And I saw the things go #1 that didn't even. I'm literally lost for words.
You preaching to the choir.
But as an artist,
all of us, Mickey.
as an artist, you want to, like, I know for a fact that I'm not liked because I'm that one that will call, or I've been that one that's been public and got my career smashed. Literally, I've been the one for women's rights when other people were on the side, got my career smashed from having a big mouth. It's cool to say this and that, okay? But when you say it, you got to deal with what comes with it.
Exactly.
All right? And I'm my own person. Doug just asked me.
Oh, I think I know the jam you talking about. It just came to me. I'm sorry to cut you off. The Lone Crusader?
Yes.
Yo, you know why? You know why? It's just because of what you're talking about. Because the reason I did that record is because of that. Like, I've been in situations where I stand up for mine and everybody like, yeah. Then you look to the side and those same people, there's nobody there. You by yourself.
Yo, I killed that record last week. And you know, when the spirit jumped on me, yo, I wrote that record out. I was like, yo, that record needs to be longer.
Yeah.
I needed 3 more minutes on that.
Yeah.
Right? But I've been there where I've said it and I've had people inbox me personally. Yo, Mick, you speaking the truth. I can't always be the voice.
Yeah.
And I refuse now. I'm not the only one seeing things, but why should I say anything? You ain't saying nothing, you don't see it. I don't see it. Okay? I don't see it. But you know what? I can tell you, there's nothing like when you know your business. I've finally gotten to where I know my business.
Yeah.
And when I say know my business, that means that I'm that kid that was in that music room off beat that learned how to get on beat. If you feel what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So once I learned to get on beat, this is easy. It was like, wow, that was it. This is easy for me. Yeah. I hear it in my sleep. I dream it. I see it. I wake up, I make it. Done. But I didn't have respect for what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't have the respect. Now I have the respect for what I'm doing.
And I think if one of your ingredients of why you're doing this because you love it, you're gonna learn how to deal with all the injustice and all the other stuff that you know that happens. You know, that's all part of it. You know, you learn how to cope with it. But let me ask y'all this. I want to ask both of y'all: is there a production in your personal catalogs of stuff that you've done that when you did it, you was like, oh shit, yo, I think I could do this. You know what I mean? Like, this is something special. Like, I'm on to something. Like, I can do this. Did that ever happen to any of y'all? Like, it could have happened in the 12th, after the 12th jam you worked on. It could have been the first one. For me, it wasn't the first one.
It wasn't the first one. It happened with me, I'll tell you, on I Am Africa. I did an event in Fort Greene Park in 2000, either 10. I think, 2010. Man, and it didn't go the way that I wanted it to. A lot of it was also hate, but some of it was my fault also, because I didn't take control of my own event. I let the other DJs and MC take control of my event, right? After that, I said, you know what? I'm going to make a song so friggin' bad that even my haters are going to have to play it. I said that to myself. And I worked on that song, no lie, for 8 months. I literally took shape. I took my figure took shape of my chair in, in the studio.
I laugh because I got identified with that too.
And I never forget, I was in the car and I let Danielle hear it on the way driving her to work. And she was like, "Who's that?" And I said, "Me." She said, "You?" I said, "Yeah, me and Mona." She said, "You?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "That's what you've been working on?" I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "You got something here."
And that was like what? That was like which production, more or less, like the 10th, the 15th, the 20th.
It was the 12th production.
Yeah.
It was the 12th production, somewhere around there. The 12th production.
How about you, Doug? Did you ever have that awakening?
I think when I started doing the Afro sound, because before that I was doing some deep house stuff. I was trying to get on wax.
Yeah.
But when I started doing the Afro, and I hired, I think it was the first outside musician, for the first time, and I started producing the tracks that I got. The first ones were picked up by Quantize. And this was like in 2016. I figured, you know what? I think I'm onto something with the musicians.
Yeah.
You know, your music was a big influence, and all the music from other big producers. And I was like, I'm onto something. I need to work more with real musicians, keyboardists,
yeah,
harmonica players, saxophone. This is something I want to work on. And it wasn't just one specific record. It was just a couple of records, like the EP I had on Quantize and stuff like that.
I played one of your songs at June in Paris.
Okay.
And the owner came right over to me while I was playing it and wanted to know I was playing it over something, but he was like, "I think I told you that."
I think you think you actually sent me the video. I think so. Yeah, that was nice.
But when I first heard Doug, I think when I first heard you was not Quantize, was with a release that you did was under Tambor Records, I think, Stands F.
Oh yeah, that was with the Ayaba as a poet. She's actually work. I think she's actually working with Defected right now. She's actually working in the offices of Defected, from what I think I heard. And she's actually still doing records with his sons. What's the guy that runs Defected? What's his name? Simon Dunmore. His sons put out some music, and she's on it. So yeah, that was interesting. That was my first time working. I think that was my first time working with a poet, actually. And
I call everyone kid. I was like, I like this kid sound. You know.
And that was it. Thanks. And that was the first time I actually reached out to Tambor. I knew Stan of Stan's there, but I reached out to him, and he liked the record. So that was an interesting time too, because that's when I started doing the Afro sound. I said, I'm going to do this Afro because that's really what I was influenced with, the whole New York thing, Joe Clausel and Sonia and all this. So that's what I want to go to.
That's another label that they've been consistent, overall, putting out good music. Tribe Records. I dig the music they
Tribe, yeah, his brother.
Everybody gonna put out something. If it's not whack, but it's just mediocre. But overall,
yeah, they put it. Yeah,
overall, put out.
His music is
I like
amazing.
Yeah, Tribe. He was one of the
Let me ask you though, getting to early Afro, who would you say are some of the early Afro influencers to you?
And that's
that's what like the Afro house sound.
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually we had a whole that was our first discussion that we had. We actually went into that deep.
Yeah,
because we felt a lot of the people were being left out.
Yeah, they were left out.
So we
articles that came out, and it's like they were mentioning people that had nothing to do with Afro house. I'm like, what is this? It's not cool. It's not right, man. It's kind of like, you get these people that they keep doing all these unauthorized jams and putting out, all these, ripping people's music off. And I always said to myself, Somebody needs to do it to them so they could see how it feels. Like put out, like they do a record, an original record, and then somebody else boots it and puts it out so they could see how it feels. It's not
I actually
the same thing.
with
With the you know with the whole Afro house. That's like, you know, like if you're gonna say soulful house and you don't mention Josh Milan, it's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? The dude was there from the beginning, you know. So with the whole Afro house, my whole thing was, and me and Doug had it, like he said, a long. The whole thing was about, most of it was about that. To me, a big influence was Joaquin Clossell.
Yeah.
Iggy Young. Not you know, I had to put myself in there because it's the truth, it's the fact,
Right.
not because of the ego, but I was doing it right from when it was starting to, you know, happen.
It was.
Now we could go before that, you know, this that happened. There was music that came out with that flavor, but there was nobody that really focused their label and all their energy and all their time into it like Joaquin Clossell. That's my point. And if you're gonna do an article on Afro House, don't get me started, man. If you're gonna do an article on Afro House and you're not gonna say that, then you're doing an injustice to Afro House. Because I got news for people. Afro House did not start in 2010.
Thank you. Yeah.
With that.
Even listen, Louis plays a song.
I'm very passionate about that sound. Don't get me started because it's about the facts. The facts matter.
It do. It does. It does. That's how I felt when I see certain things and I have to say it.
Yeah.
It's whitewashed.
We have to speak. We got to speak.
When I speak on it, you know, Elvis was not the king of you know, I don't know what he was the king of. I don't know. But it happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I started seeing that happen with Afro. And when I spoke out about it, like people, feathers, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is.
It's the fact.
Like you said,
you played a big part in that. Joaquin Clossell, myself, Frankie Valentine. You know, there's people that played a big part in what it is today. And you can't just skip over that. You know, you just can't skip over that because if that didn't happen, who knows what would have happened? We wouldn't even have this today.
Right. That's how, I mean, I said to Doug, I said, I saw an article in Beatport and it mentioned my name. And Doug never, you know, admitted to it, but I knew that it had to come from Doug, letting these people know that I existed because I see it. You know, there are some people really cool. who really want to erase my contribution to music.
Exactly.
And you know what? I'm human. I'm human. I've cried. I'm not gonna, you know, do this interview and act like I'm all tough and it doesn't bother me. I've cried, real tears, you know, because I know that if I didn't put in the work at say that particular year and I wasn't worthy of it, there's nothing that I could say. But when I put in my best work in those years, and it's because I've spoken out about injustice to Black people. I'm going to call it what it is. Injustice to Black and brown people, but mainly to Black people. People don't like that. So the thing was, silence me. But you know what? I can't be silenced. And the reason why I say I can't be silenced, because I'm independent. So what I've learned, if I and my dad taught me this, right? True story. My dad, American pandemic, my dad's going to be 80 years old in 2 months. My dad on WhatsApp text all his friends on WhatsApp to let them know about the American pandemic, the video. And you know what he said? He goes, man, I told you to make some CDs. You know, I had orders. I told him, like, you know, he's a classy dude, but he was like, man, these people ain't gonna go on no site and buy no music. But man, if you had some CDs, man, I could sell these CDs.
Mixtapes.
Yo, my dad was my biggest advocate. But going back, we forget about our own truth, our own self. of how we used to do our hustle.
Yeah.
We've gotten lazy and dependent on other people to do our hustle. Back in the day, you had to hustle. You had your mixtapes. You had your brand. You had to let people know. You had to give out your flyers for your party. You didn't depend on tagging 100 people for your party. You wanted 100 people, you had to hand it. Like, I'm old school with it.
Yeah.
Listen, I have my own personal friends. They got money. Yo, I need you right now. $6. Go buy this release for me, please. You know, subscribe to my Twitch channel, please. You know, they're like, what? How much? What? They don't even think about it. But we get too comfortable in thinking other people are going to make us famous. Other people are going to bring us fame. No, that comes from here. So you know what? I will always speak my truth about injustice when it comes to people. And what I see, that isn't right. You can't try to rewrite history. You can't.
I'm gonna tell you, like, that Beatport article, and I say this publicly, it was wrong.
But they left out the whole 90s. They left out
people that had nothing to do with Afro House. The article was about Afro House. Most of the people that they mentioned on there, they have nothing to do with Afro House.
But you just started it out by saying Beatport article.
It was. I'm not.
Take away the name. It doesn't matter if it was Mickey Mouse article. Look at where it's coming from.
I know, but Mickey, you know what? Is people need to speak up, because there's a lot and they're gonna believe that, and that's not the truth.
You froze right where you said that.
What I was saying is that it's important that people speak on that, because it's a big platform, and a lot of people are gonna read that. A lot of people read it, and they're gonna think that that's the truth, and that's not the truth.
That's always been this. That's always been.
I know, but people need to speak up.
I think there was a whole confusion, because when I got the questions, he asked me questions about the Latin side, how it infused into Afro. He didn't ask me specifically about Afro, so I don't know who he interviewed. Louis, Hector Romero. I was gonna say Baby Heck. Hector Romero, Anane, a bunch of others. But when he interviewed me, some of the questions he asked me about the Latin side, how it transformed into Afro. So I didn't really get too deep into the 90s, but I mentioned names.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he was going to leave out the whole 90s. He basically left out all the 90s when it comes to Afro House. Like, whoa, this article.
That's when you don't even know
the history of Afro House. That's how that article, just like on Bandcamp, both of them was about the history of Afro House.
Right, but and then he didn't. When they asked me about I mentioned a lot of artists that were down with the Latin Afro of the late 80s. You know, the tribal sound, how it transformed from tribal to. So that's what I went into. Yeah, and they mentioned a lot of early names that didn't really have much to do with Afro, but there was a tribal sound.
Yeah.
But then he didn't really go too deep. He skipped over the night he went from tribal early 90s into the 2000s, and I'm like, whoa, what happened to the late 90s? What happened to Timmy?
Tell you, that was a pivotal time in this sound.
Yeah. You can't talk about Afro without talking about the late 90s.
When I used to play some of those tunes, let me tell you something. When I used to play, that's what
my whole point is that that's a very important. You can't leave out.
Like, for instance, like Abika Soul was very influential.
How
do you leave Oshunlade? How do you have an article and leave Oshunlade out of Afro, out of that?
Like, I think he was mentioning both of them, but Oshunlade did not start with Afro either, though. I love it.
Know that, but I'm still saying. But now they will take Abika Soul. You don't see his name in anything.
That's true.
Gave a lot of those people. He gave a lot of those people.
Doug mentioned it in our thing.
Abika Soul to me is one of the first ones who actually infused what was already happening in New York, the Afro sound, and made it techie. He brought the techie side of it.
And it was deep at the same time.
Yeah.
Very rhythmic.
When I came in was from MySpace without having a picture of my face. So back then, we're talking like in 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
Like I had my camp, they knew it was me, but I had people like my new, like with mating calls saying like, "What's yo, dude?" Like that's how they would call me with the N word, like in my inbox. Send me Nick, and then I would be like, "Yo, I'm a female, whatever." They're like, "Huh?" But I think me personally, as a woman, it's real easy to act that I didn't have an influence later on. I can't say at the beginning, later on, and I had to learn to own. I'm going to own my contribution, like just like how you said, you have to own it because there are people that will truly try to make you seem like you have nothing to do with anything, and no matter how big, how small, I know that I did have a contribution to a certain sound. And how I know that is when I used to play it and people wasn't wanting to hear it, but then you got people trying to sound like you.
Yeah.
That's how you know. That's how you know
I don't
that.
even speak on that one.
So let me ask you both of you now that now we're talking with actually three.
I'm glad
people
you have yourself though, Mickey. You gotta speak up, man, because you have contributed.
Well, I ain't speaking up no more.
No, but you gotta speak up.
I've been blackballed. I've been blackballed. Still.
No, but when you say blackball, are you referring to yourself as a producer or your label or both?
Both behind the scenes. I've been, some things I won't say publicly, but I have pretty much told people where they could go and how they could get there. And people don't like that.
Nah, I don't like it.
Even recently, and what I had to learn, it takes a lot. What I had to learn is that my validation does not come from that. My validation, even if it's one person, and anyone that's watching this, any young producer, anyone that's ever had any doubt in themselves, just listen to what I'm saying. If you reach one person's soul, that's one soul that you've changed.
Right.
So take each grain, it's like a grain of salt. A beach, each sand is what makes a beach. So if you're only reaching one soul, that one soul will become another soul and another. So I don't let charts don't mean any. Everyone would love to be number one. But how many times have we seen something that's number one that no one plays, that clears a dance floor? I've seen it.
Not even that no one play. Let's be straight up and honest. That's garbage. Straight up garbage as music. So for me personally, I mean, it's nice to get recognition, you know what I mean? But it's not always valid, you know what I mean? So for me personally, I'm not gonna play that game. It's something that I do. I had to learn how to deal with this years ago. That just because people are not fit doesn't mean that it's not great, you know what I mean? Or good. It's just that's the way it is, and you have to learn how to cope. However it is, everybody copes with things differently. For me, it wasn't easy. It was a process for me to learn how to cope with the stuff that goes on in music. When you drop amazing music and people don't pay attention, and you know that if somebody else's name was on it, they'd be calling them a genius. That shit bothers.
Mm-hmm.
That shit bothers.
And at the same time,
you tell yourself, you know what? Pat yourself on the back. Forget about what people say.
And also, and on that note, when it comes to bad and good music, let's talk about how someone like the big DJs, they'll do a tracks or a chart. They say a chart. And some of the jams on there aren't that good, but yet they'll sell because it's on their chart.
Yeah.
If that record was not on that chart, it would not. It would probably be because it's not that great, but because that DJ is playing it, it's on it. all of a sudden.
But no, in all fairness, I have to say this, and they earn that. The big DJs, they sell music. I've seen it.
No, yeah, no, of course. No, I'm not talking about that.
I won't. This is me. I have not done any charts this whole year, including for my own release.
Yeah,
because I won't. Because I'm not going to play that game. You don't respect me. Why should I respect you? You don't have respect for what I do. Why should I respect? So what I've done now is I'll make clips of me buying and supporting the artists, and I do that because I want the artists to know that your music is being played, it's being supported, the fans, the dancers like it. You know,
I see you do that. And that's really nice of you, Mickey. Seriously, that's really.
And I'm going to tell you, even that takes time. It takes time to do that. You know, and I'm going to tell you,
it means a lot. Believe me.
People need to be humble.
Yep.
Because, thank you, and I had to get called on that. I'm a humble person, I think, but a dancer came to me recently and said something to me. It was a little bit more because they kind of want you to shout them out while you're doing your show, and that could become a little hard if you're playing, right? You can't. That's going so fast that you miss people.
Yeah.
But people have forgotten the simple things, how to say thank you. When someone takes the time to do something like that, yes, checking a like and a heart is nice, but old-fashioned thank you. Humanity, to be humble.
Yeah.
To be humble, thank you, means more. You know, I recently just went on people's page and just said, thank you. And some people said, I don't know why you're thanking me. You know why I'm thanking? Because you took money out of your pocket to subscribe to me. You took time out of your day to sit through my show. People still got things to do.
Yeah.
But you know what? Just that thank you. They were like, wow, you know, you take time out for me, I could take time out for you. Yeah. And I think that that's what's missing again is just people. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you, this pandemic really brought everyone to the same level.
Somebody else told me that.
To the same level, baby.
It humbled a lot of people.
And
especially some divas out there, boy.
In this time, if you can't be humble in a pandemic, you can't be humble when you're faced with death. If you can't be humble when people are dying around us, every day we got to still try to stay alive. It's not a game.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to learn, which I had learned before, but only the universe dictates what's going on with me. I don't dictate that. I think I do, but I'm not in control of that. Stillness, to be still, to be in your own self. This made some people have to deal with their self. Some people couldn't handle that. You know what I mean? So getting back to basics, I just think that that's what's missing. It's just connecting one-on-one again with the people that all brought us here. Because without them, you know what? Without them, who are we really?
I think social media has played a big part in that too.
Yeah.
It's a big disconnect between people, and people rely on social media like a like, or you know, it's just
that's true.
People think that's all you need these days. Let's just connect on social media.
True.
And
what Mickey is saying, you know, this pandemic, one of the good things that came out of it is that it humbled a lot of people. You know, not everybody, but you know, it really brought humility to the game, man. You know, having people doing things that they would never thought they would have to do because they depend on this and I support them. I support, you know, but it takes a lot of humility to go online, you know, and do these things and have like a banner, you know, where to donate money and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and, you know, I'll support, you know, but like I said, that's one of the things that to me is a good thing. It's not a bad thing because people need to be humble, man. That's missing in this, you know, music, world of
It was,
music.
it was funny when people, someone asked me last night.
I seen people that were real cool, and God forbid they had a record that hit or was popular. Next thing you know, they don't even want to say hi to you. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, someone hit me up last night who was listening to my show, and they asked where I could send money, Venmo. I asked me, I said, I don't need the money. I told you, just your presence and your support is just good enough.
Yeah,
I don't need you to donate just to see me watch online, to play online. Yeah. Just that you're being there, taking the time just to watch me online.
Yo, I have told people that I was listening to, thank you. I appreciate your time. You're playing dope music. I really appreciate you. And that sometimes, that goes a long way, man. Like Mickey's saying, we gotta thank each other. It's such a simple thing, but so many egos, and so much pride that people, they lose touch of that. It's so important.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that, Mickey. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And for those that they doing it to make money, I understand, man. Like they make a living, there's no income coming in.
Listen,
gotta do it.
I was raised money for a rainy day. Yo, it's been raining for a year and a half.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, people got to make them. The next thing I see is people bashing people now that are doing Twitch. What is that all about? Like, come on, stop it.
I see it. I see it. I see that on. I see and I see that coming from people who are up there, like names. They like, oh, I won't do Twitch, or okay, so why is that a bad? Okay, you don't want to do it. That's fine, but why? It sounds like you're putting people down who are doing it.
Yeah,
what's wrong with them? And I tell you, I have fun, man. I have fun. It's just for me. It's like it's not something that I want to do every week, but the times I did do it, I have fun, man. Like I needed that, I needed to play some jams, man, and it was fun, but it's not something for me personally that I want to do on a consistent basis. And who knows, I might change my mind tomorrow,
I don't like commitment.
Up until recently, I had no mixes online. I just didn't do it because for me, and I had this discussion with Doug, for me, those online, I've always felt that it did a disservice to how I play live. And I didn't want people to get the impression that you hear this mix and a lot of it is mellow, or whatever. But that's not how I play live. I avoided it. I avoided
it. I feel that there's too much free music out there available.
Yeah.
And I feel this is only my opinion, that part of what you say is that I made a commitment to do the show now every week. And it's a big, like it's tomorrow and I'm looking now, it's like 11, it's 10 o'clock and I'm like, all right, I got to get myself in tomorrow, right?
You got to start getting in the zone.
Yeah. Because you know what? Like anything that you do, it's not programmed, but I am the producer of my show. And I do need to have some type of theme. I do need to have some kind of organization as to what I might think
that's a big part of it. Me and Doug was talking about that. There's so much music that for me, like a big part of doing that is being organized. Like one of the things I try to do is I was telling Doug that when I play stuff, I put it in a folder for that week. And then for the next time I'm going to play, none of that stuff is in the, you know what I mean?
Right. That's it. That was that week.
Stuff. But it's not easy. But a big part of it is being organized.
Yeah.
So you got the music. It's just about being organized.
No, I also think the fact that there's so much music coming out, so much new, and a lot of good stuff coming out every week that you're consistently playing new stuff that you forget. Well, what was the stuff that came out a couple of weeks that was dope? Because you're always playing new stuff. I find myself Shazamming my own mixes because I can't remember what song this is.
Yo, that's funny.
Yeah, it's bad.
Because there's so much music coming out. So I feel like I was telling Antonio, I like to. I'm doing this Twitch also because I want to remember what it was that I bought, what it was that I have. I want to go back to my folder and see what music I forgot. I want to remember the music that I have, the promos, the stuff I bought, because I just can't remember anymore.
Yo,
Yeah,
I have
and
to,
you know
I
what?
have
It's
to
not
tell y'all
always
something.
about new music. Like I do once a month. I do something called Forgotten Gems.
Oh, nice.
And the forgotten gems are like those tunes that might have been like I feel no one gives any respect to the 2000s. Like what the heck happened here?
Yeah, dope music.
Like there was some gems in the 2000s from 2001, 2000. I could think of some
Yeah,
tunes.
Yellow Records, New Phonic. Yellow Records was putting out some dope shit.
Exactly that. Like literally, you don't hear. So that's what I've been trying to devote.
Yeah,
At least once a month. I don't have to go back 40 years. To go back to classics that came out 40 years ago. But what you were saying about the mixes is that I'm funny. If I'm gonna play, someone's booking me. I really don't want to do a live mix in that period or have something out because just like what you said, I might be in a mood where it might be mellow or it might be this or it might be that. The other thing is I'm going to keep it real. When you do that, that's also your resume,
yeah,
right? And you also have to realize that it's like a prize fighter getting ready for a match. Quote, the opponent studies that tape of the moves of the I come from a family also of prize fighters. So that's how I use a lot of my logic.
yeah,
I played sets with people and they think that like I played sets where you're like in perfect harmony with the person that you're playing that it's like it doesn't even matter. Like you won't even tell, come back on, mix this with me, or because you're such in unison. And I play with people like literally, it feels like you're at a boxing match where they want to get in what they think is the hardest banger first. It's not always about that. You can
yeah,
reach in and you could play a song that's maybe 4 or 5 years old that could crush the floor
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's different things, but like now I'm gonna do this show and I've committed myself
That's good.
weekly. And I'm not gonna lie, after the second week I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this every week you
Yeah,
know
it's tough, man.
Well, I had the fever for a little while, and then I just like,
Yeah, you had the
And
fever
I
for
see
sure.
I
I have
was
to
doing it. I
say
was doing
this.
it like I
You,
did it
you,
like every week for
you had the Twitch fever.
yo, and I have fun, man. I have fun.
I
I was playing
tuned
some
in for a
jams.
couple of times watching you, then I went back and you weren't there
Yeah,
anymore.
I was playing some jams, man. It was some stuff I really wanted to play.
Yeah, but let me tell you about this live streaming
This
stuff.
week, and maybe we could take just a moment. I'm really excited about this Saturday. I'm gonna play with Douglas Sherman, so I'm really excited about that because
Where?
this on his Twitch.
Okay.
Twitch is a Balloon Whisperer. So it's gonna be this Saturday. It starts at 6. Balloon Whisperer on Twitch. It's me and Douglas, and what I appreciate, I'm excited actually because I could play whatever I want for real. Like the people that's gonna tune in, they're not there to just hear four on the floor. They want to hear some shit, and that's what we're gonna be doing, playing like whatever you want for real. And that's for me, that's the platform that I do best in. I'm guilty of that. What you were talking about earlier. I'm not good at like going and playing what people want. I'm not good at that. I'll be honest. I have to know my limitations, I do best with a crowd that's knowledgeable about music and want some dope shit. If you want to go there to hear certain songs by certain artists, I don't even think that way. You know what I mean? I don't even think that way.
I remember the connection that I had with Antonio. He put out his box set. And I was like, Antonio, I gotta get it, man. And then I'm not even gonna lie, my money was tight.
It happens.
But I was like, Antonio, as soon as I get some money, if you still got that box set, He said, I'm gonna hold it for you.
I held it. I don't
And
have
he
it.
held it. I'm keeping it real. It's like that sometimes. You know what I mean?
All of
And
them.
when he had his opening party, I can't drive at night. Night vision bothers me, So I had gone to a party in New Jersey, and I was with my boy Des Uno, and I was like, "Yo, Des, I'm gonna need you to take me down to the Lower East Side because I gotta see Antonio," you know. And we drove, and if anyone knows the Lower East Side, trying to find parking down there,
Oh,
next to impossible,
it was tough.
right? So I said, listen, and this is friendship. I said, can you just sit in the car at the hydrant for a minute? I want Antonio to know that I'm here, and then you could come in. I'll go sit, and you can let him, but I have to let this man know that I'm here to support the release.
I really appreciate that.
And listen, he found parking in front of the club.
That was a miracle.
A miracle. And when I heard the album, I was like, you're in the category by yourself, Antonio. Don't ever doubt yourself and this is not taking away or being egotistical. But like for me personally, I had to say my music isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
And sometimes my shit gotta grow on people.
Yeah.
And your music, it's in a class by itself. Like what you did 10 years ago, you had to just now get in there.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you, sister.
And so
I'm excited about this next album. It's going.
I'm working on mine.
I've been saying it for a while that it's going into production, but it really is going into production soon. I gotta finish this artwork. Joanne's gonna help me with it. I'm really proud of this music. And I'm already getting music for the next album. So I already got 5 jams for the next one after this one.
See that now I came down here.
Bless you. And that's the thing, that's one of the things I wanted us to talk about, even just for a few minutes. I have to be honest, like I've struggled with this digital thing. Since the very beginning, I have struggled with it. I don't like it. I don't like this.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, look, I haven't put out a jam this year. There's a jam that I licensed from the brothers from Greece, Muzungu, that's coming out tomorrow. But myself, my own music, I haven't put out anything since I did Ogo like about 6 or 8 months ago or something like that.
It's okay.
No, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. And
listen to me.
Because you know what, Mickey? I'm not playing that game. I'm not in a hurry.
Neither mine.
Neither
mine. I'm having a conversation with Joe.
I'm not doing this for money, so I'm not, there's no rush.
And that's just what he said. He said there's no rush, sister. You know when it's right. And when I look at the greats, like I shouldn't say the greats, but when I look at certain cats, they're not about that digital life. Joe Corsell, Ron Trent, now Vic Lavender, Asa, Kai Alice.
I'll say, yeah.
I say these guys, and it's
my next is gonna be on vinyl, and to me, I struggle with it, like to put so much work into a song, so much work, so much time, so much love, so much energy, creativity, thought, intention, and then you put it on vinyl, and people don't even appreciate it,
mean digital?
Or digital, sorry. You put it on digital, and it's hot for 6 days, and then people forget about it. So my thing is, if that's gonna happen, I'd rather be in vinyl. That is something that it could go in somebody's collection. They could pass it on to the generations. It's not on a cloud somewhere. That's the thing that I struggle with, man. They put so much energy and all this, time and love and everything into a song, and then you put it on digital, and then you see other stuff that's like on the top 10, and that your shit is better than that. Come on. And you're like, what's going on here? Nah, I'm not playing that game, man. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. My next album will be on vinyl, and then after that, then I'll put them out on digital.
That's where I'm at now. I
You like
struggled.
it? I
I
really
put
struggle
out.
with it. Since the very beginning, I've been struggling with that. Like when it first started, I didn't put stuff out for years. Years. I didn't put out no
We
music.
talked about that. It literally has you like
I'm
this.
like, what do I do? What happened? And I'm looking to see what happens. And it's like nothing happened. It just moved in that direction. And some people adapted and some people are cool with it. Doug, I have to be honest, he's doing a great job with it. I wish I had his mindset. I don't have it. He's doing a great job. He adapted and he's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no choice. Well, the thing is, when it comes, a lot of people can't play a vinyl because, like someone like me, I don't even have turntables anymore. I sold all my collection, and there's a lot of people that don't have turntables anymore. Yeah. So it's either digital or nothing for some people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The thing is though, like everything, it's still a business.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it from a business point of view, right?
Yeah.
If you have someone that's giving you 15 apples a week, right? Some might go rotten, but you're still getting 15 apples a week. Versus someone that's giving you 1 apple a week that might go rotten. Who you gonna keep welcoming?
Yeah.
One that's giving you 15 apples a week, where maybe 3 might go rotten, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with a distribution company. They're gonna look for who's gonna bring them volume that they can make money. You can also make money. So if you're making money for them, they're happy because you're also bringing it. The person that has one release every 6 months that bitches about why wasn't I in the top 10, but it might be great. It's also an algorithm. Yeah. So the algorithm doesn't know that this release was fabulous that you put out. So it's a give and take, and I get it.
And there's some favoritism in there too.
That's everywhere, Antonio.
Yeah.
But what I had to learn is remove myself from that. And believe me, where you are, I was there until recently. I had to let it go because what it does is it stops me. It stops my joy. When you make that music, you're not making that music to say, this is going to be number 1 and it's going to be loved by. You're doing that for in here.
Exactly.
It's feeding your soul.
Exactly.
So I can't get twisted. When I do stuff, and it's coming from a place of love. Exactly. It's coming from where I'm hoping that someone feels good about it, then I've done my job. And some things might take a little longer than others, but that's okay too.
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
So Mickey, what you got coming up?
I got something out now. It's called Basic Instinct. It did so wonderful that I'm gonna load something up on Friday. I'm saying that sarcastically because it got absolutely, nothing. So that's on me now to be, super promoter, but also I'm going to be honest. I also have to do my due diligence in getting it heard, which I don't think I really did. So I can't put that on anyone, but I'm thinking now if I should just lay low and release my album with how Antonio has been saying on vinyl, or if I should continue to release single after single, and then collectively I have different versions for the album. So that's where I'm a little
that could be done like that.
Yeah. But I think
there's a lot of ways
I have I have the remix of Feeling Blessed. I have a track with Amori Tala called Like Minded People. And then I have something else with Sugar Lyrics called Woman Like Us. So I'm thinking Woman Like Us might come out like
I like that title.
Women Like Us.
Yeah, that's dope. It's just like the other one you had. Which is the other one about women that you had? Women, damn, what was it?
Women Rising.
Yeah, I like that. I like that title.
That song, when I put
I've been around women all my life. I was raised by women. I
you
have
told me that. It was like
daughters,
8 years. I had that song for 8 years
and I picked
before
up
I released it.
with women. So
yeah, I try to with my label. That's what I try to give. I try to give that woman essence of you know.
How about you, Doug? I like that last jam. Well, from the last ones that you put out, I really like Quiero Amor.
I like that.
That took me back to the 2000s and the 90s.
Yeah, I played it twice.
Joaquin was doing, that vibe. It took me right there. You did a great job with that, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I really
did. It had like a retro feel.
Yeah, it was like, the Jekka Joe and some of the early stuff that I did. It has, and it was just dope.
Yeah, I got some. I have some more stuff coming like that.
I listened to it. Took me back there, and it's just a dope jam. What you got coming, Doug?
I got a remix for DJ Disciple on the Latin tip,
Nice.
like the Latin Brazilian tip. I have a couple of remixes coming out, and I'm making moves. One for Kenny Bobian and another one for this girl Perry X, which is actually on pre-order right now. And I'm working on another remix right now for somebody else.
Nice.
That's about it. And I'm working on my own stuff. I'm actually working on a track with a well-known salsa singer. She's in Puerto Rico by the name of Ocha. Sorry. I forgot. I'm drawing blanks right now. But it's better that I don't say anyway. Her name is actually her name is Choco, but that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
And it's on like a bomba. It's a bomba track.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm working on that, but I'm working on it. But we're gonna see we're gonna see if other big labels are interested before I even try to put it out myself.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the music that I'm working on right now for not the one now, not the album that's gonna be released next, for the next one. And I finally did some work with I got Jeff De Guillon to play some guitar on this jam, and I'm a happy camper, man. I'm happy, man. Yo, the jam is, yeah, I'm excited about the music I'm working on, and always with the musicians, man.
That's how I feel. Like, I've been doing a lot of songwriting, and I really realized
That's nice
that I literally, people that know me, literally, I could write a song from beginning to end on a phone conversation within 2 minutes. I'm talking about a whole song, hook, verse, bridge, everything. And sometimes I'll tell them, write this down because I'm not going to remember it. But being here and just taking in a different energy, I've been doing a lot of songwriting, and Georgia C and I are going to do some joint projects together. I'm going to produce an EP for her. So I'm excited about that. But just really, just on a whole, my songwriting, that part I can't wait to share.
Yo, that's not easy. That's not easy, writing songs. I've written a few, and they came kind of easy because it was based on experiences. Like when I wrote Cheyenne.
Well, that's what you gotta do. You gotta take your experience.
Yeah. Well, when my sister passed away, I wrote a song called Cheyenne, and I didn't want to do a sad song. So it was about basically my sister's life. She lived a hard life, and from all that suffering, there was this beautiful girl that was born named Cheyenne. So that's what the whole song was about. But I made it into a dance record. I didn't want it to be like sad, But that one kind of flowed. But it's not easy writing songs.
It's not.
For me,
Some people are gifted with that.
Oh yeah.
Like I wish now that I'm looking to see how that could be, because I really
You're enjoying it.
I really enjoy it. I really enjoy, songwriting now.
You know, what's another gift that people have in music? I think I mentioned it to you, Doug, before. There's people that got an ear that know what the masses are gonna like with sounds. Like I don't have that. You know what I mean? But it's a gift. You know, it's a beautiful gift. I would say like David Morales. He has that gift.
So does Hector Romero.
Yeah.
Hector's in the back, but Hector knows.
Dennis Ferrer is another one. Dennis knows.
Who?
Dennis Louis Vega. He's another one.
Oh, you're talking about no. You're talking about what the masses as a dance song as being a producer. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about
something and they'll know.
That gift of having the ear to know when they're producing, like it just flows out of them. They know like that a lot of people are gonna like this vibe, this sound, this song. I don't think that way. I don't create that way, and I know that is a gift. I don't have that.
I think definitely David Morales can put out a record and say,
I gotta tell you, he is the king of the remix.
Yeah.
When I tell you, and when you look at the body of work of the remixes and the people that he's done, but when you say remix, he literally takes it to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's recreated a whole new song from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From
Joaquin
scratch.
told me that when I first started producing, that's one of the things that Joaquin told me, that Closel that sticks out for me till today. He said when you do a remix, it's not supposed to sound like the original. Then what, you're supposed to recreate a whole song.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's what in disco music days, a remix was actually just taking the original music and just rearranging it differently, doing it your own thing.
But you could do that too, and then add some flavor. And it's a legit remix. If you make it, if you own it, you're not really changing it a whole lot. But it's different though, because the intro, the way it vibes is different. You added something to make it different. But what he was talking about mostly, he's like, he's a purist. Like a remix should be different. Should be like you just take the vocals and create something new.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people like that,
Yeah, I don't like the parts. I like to make it my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we have any questions in the chat? I can't see the chat, but is there anything up in there? Because I can't.
Anybody got any questions for any of us, especially Mickey? It's like you said, a lot of people are going to come back and listen to it. We have something on. People will come back and listen. I mean, watch the show. I mean, it was good, man. I'm so glad we're doing this, And
I will tell you something. Anything that connects with us on a whole and the people, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's what it was when I was doing my cooking show. That basically was me wanting to sit down with people that have inspired me.
Yeah.
I feel that nothing brings people together like food and music. I
appreciate you inviting me to your house that time.
That was good. That was good. I want to continue, but then I had some issues, some surgeries and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I was planning on picking it up, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So
it was very nice.
It's really nice to have that connection in person again, because now, like I said, with social media, that disconnect with people, and it's really to see those type of interviews and face to face just takes it back, and it's more personal.
Somebody, brother Pete, he's asking about distributors.
What about
All he
distributors?
wrote was all he wrote was distributors. If you want to elaborate, Pete, just let us know what you mean by that. And then there's a question for Mickey from DJ Dress, one cool brother. I love that dude, man.
From who?
From Dress, DJ Dress. He says, would you be who would be your dream collaboration? This question is for Mickey.
Well, I have some. Okay, I want to work with Monique.
Monique.
Yes. And I have this song. I have this song for her that I've had in my head for at least 8 years. I've written part of it, but I don't even really need to write it because I just can see her executing this song. So I would say Monique. Um, and I don't really reach out to people. I guess if I really reached out, I would probably have a lot more things going on now. So I'm gonna start doing that more.
There's another question for you here. Basically, I was trying to ask you this. We was trying to ask you this, but they put it real simple, which is good. Who inspired you, Mickey? Who inspired you into music?
My life partner. So that's my muse. Like feeling blessed. It's actually a love song. You know. My inspiration, I get inspired honestly from watching Twitch, watching DJs.
Yeah.
It is an inspiration. I get inspired by a lot of things, but mainly what my life experience, I try to put it through music. DJs that I connect with, and just life itself. Taking a walk, I get inspired, or just sitting on a beach, I might come home and feel a certain way. You know, yeah.
So Pete, let's answer Pete's question because it sounds like he wants to know about how do you get into distribution. I think that's what he's leading towards. Um, he said, yeah, distribution company and fees. There aren't any fees. If you're talking about digital, Pete, there's no fees for but the distribution companies, it's not easy, it's not that easy to get in these days for distribution company. I'm not talking about record stores like tracks or people. I'm talking about distributors that get your music onto iTunes and all that. Like Label Works, which is the other one, Doug?
So was
Milk and Two Sugars.
Yeah, and Doug, which is
the
distributor that distributes your music into all the platforms.
you're talking about M2 and NS, Milk and Two Sugars.
Okay,
that's it. That's what it stands for.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that's another distribution company. They have their own policies, their own things that they need from artists. Like for me, it took a little while to get in because I kept going in as Antonio said, no, they want labels. So I had to switch everything over to Tribal Winds. Even though I started Tribal Winds mostly to get my own music out there because people wasn't getting it. They didn't understand it. So I was like, you know what? I don't need you. I'll do my own shit. But so a lot of these distributors, they want labels. So you have to create a label legally. That's a process. That's a different process. And then present it to them as a label. And then there's no fee to get in, and then they have the way, they split everything. Anything y'all want to add about that, distributors?
Man, that's a whole other game. That's a whole other conversation.
It took me a while to do that too. Like I didn't even
I
want
would tell
to.
artists, nothing like it's a little it's a little harder, but start off with a Bandcamp page. You're
That's
your
a great
own
suggestion.
entity.
That's a great suggestion.
And it's nothing like having that page that represents your brand.
Yep.
And like I said, it might be a little harder.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's nothing easy in this game.
But
Bandcamp
you know what?
requires
It's you.
bank.
And it's a good feeling when you know that your peers support you. You actually get to see who supports you when your music comes out because it tells you, Antonio or Doug Gomez supported, this release. And what happens from that? By Doug Gomez supporting it, Antonio will see that release and say, wow, Doug bought this. Let me check this out.
Yeah.
So for someone that's just starting out that might not be sure, I would say that that's a good way. Set up a Bandcamp, go pro, $10 a month. Comes out every month. Set your page up and start with that.
I think that's a great suggestion.
But it's not. But it requires work. Nothing is easy. It requires promotion. It requires promotion. People think that you put up a Bandcamp and you sell. No, it requires promotion just like everything else.
No, absolutely. It takes a lot of work, but it's a good place to start. Until you can get your stuff into distribution and stuff, that's a good place to start. That's a great suggestion. He's asking what's a fair hold on a second. I'm sorry. Like what is a fair distribution deal? Whatever you think is fair, Pete, is not fair. You know, because you're the one that put all your heart and soul and money into this music. So, what it should be like 80-20. No, it's not 80-20. I think Traxsource, I think it's like they take 40% or something like that, right? 35-40%.
Well, that's not even a distribute. That's just one record store.
Right. Sorry about that. I apologize. You're right.
But distribution really shouldn't be more than 20% at most.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's more than 20%, I would keep looking for a better one. It shouldn't take more than 20.
For distribution, you're right, Doug. My apologies, Pete. He's right. I was referring to record stores. Record stores, when you do direct, it's like a 60-40 split, 70-30, depends. But that's about what it is. But for distributors, like Doug said, it should be 80-20. You get 80.
From who?
From the distributor. Distribution. Not
meaning who? Not meaning when you're speaking of distribution, are you speaking of saying direct, say with the Bandcamp or with the Traxsource or
No.
You're talking about
M2. We're talking about label works that they get your music on Spotify, iTunes, Google Music.
Right, so that should be more or less somewhere around 10, 15, 20 on it. Might even be on the high side, but somewhere around there, yeah.
Let me see if there's any other questions. You can start wrapping this up, y'all. Unless you've been ready already. Okay. No more questions.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm really, thank you.
Yeah, Mickey.
You're our first guest. We both wanted you to be our first guest.
I am honored.
We have personally and collectively, we both have mad respect and a lot of love for you. We're here to support you. If there's anything we can do, all you gotta do is reach out.
All right, I want to remix.
You don't even have to reach out because we, you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't even have to reach out because we're there for you. But we're there for each other.
Yeah,
I really, really appreciate you, Mickey.
I appreciate you guys also. And you know what's funny? In just how music just brings you to people, just like space. Well, I call it space, outer space, the internet, and how you can truly bond and have real friendships. And more than anything, that's the one thing that music has really how it transcends, through me, is how I connect, with people that
Right.
Antonio, I have so much of your music prior to us meeting, and now fast forward that I'm sitting with people or I'm communicating. It's just a great feeling,
It is. Yeah.
And I really want to just tell both of you guys, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for
No,
inviting.
no. Thank you for accepting this invitation.
And I was like, wow, somebody really wants to sit, and
We both felt that way. I'm telling you.
thank you.
And
Yeah.
I want to end as far as what I have to say. As far as what we're doing here is, we want to have this platform to have these type of conversations, honest and open conversations about music, about ourselves. And one of the things that I want to do also with this platform is I want to introduce people to other artists that might not be getting that much exposure that I personally appreciate. So that's going to be coming. That stuff that me and Doug is going to be doing also. And just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mickey. So we're gonna wrap this up, and it'll be up on YouTube, and we'll let you know. You'll probably seen the link on it's the link that we shared, so we'll be sharing that everywhere on social media.
If you guys tune in and you don't see me tomorrow, it's because I'm too tired.
You better get that ass up and do your thing, man. I'm gonna be tuning in. I'm working from home tomorrow.
All right.
And then.
All right. Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
Have a good night, y'all.
All right.
Blessings.
Bye-bye.